What's good, Zoltan? I'm Lyndsey Marie from 93X.
All right, how are you?
I'm all right. Thanks for taking the time to talk to me today. I know you've been doing the circuit. You've been busy. You've been doing a lot of
Yeah.
interviews. Fresh from the news of this re-record with Five Finger Death Punch celebrating 20 years.
Yeah, imagine that, 20 years, right? In the beginning, everybody gave us like about 6 months, right? This thing gonna be over in 6 months, but here we go.
It's a long-term relationship, you could say, and things are getting pretty serious.
Right. Nobody got engaged after 20, but
Possible, certainly. Well, I'm happy to hear it, man. We just got word. I'll just brief the viewers in this interview that Five Finger Death Punch is re-recording some of their hits. Well, a lot of their hits from the past 20
Right.
years. With 20 years of FFDP, Best of Volume 1 due out July 18th. How do you feel about that?
Man, I mean, again, 20 years, it's pretty crazy to look back at this. And it's we were thinking about what to do for the fans for this 20th, right? And it just happened. So I mean, probably you heard it already. The news are out there, right? So that circumstances kind of handed it to us. So we were like, here are some lemons, so we are making the lemonade. So that's what's happened.
How long has this been going on? Like, how long has the effort been? How long have you been back in the recording studio?
Well, we literally not that long, maybe 2 months. That's it. I mean, we play these songs 1,000 times. So this is a re-record. So we didn't have to write the songs.
Right.
We know these songs. It's just today, and technology is different today, and obviously everybody kind of grew a little bit, and Ivan's voice changed a little bit. It's even kind of thicker. So so it's a cool little gift to the fans of of looking at the band today. Yeah, it's a 20 years journey. So I would say it's not completely reimagined because these are the same songs, but they sound a little bit different. So it's a little bit different.
I was just going to ask you, because I mean, you have heard these songs over and over again through years of touring. If any particular song, like the master, the recording of it, if it twerked you, like if something was different and it annoyed you, you have the chance to make it right? Like
right.
Or something.
That's
all over again.
Yeah, I hear you. That's actually interesting question because a lot of artists kind of do that. They listen to their own record and they're like, oh man, if I did this or if I have changed that, right? But also there's another thing that I don't know if you know this word called demolitis, which is bands record demos, then they go to the studio and record their album, right? Or the same song. And they got used to how it sounded on a demo. And even if it's a better recording, they're missing something, right? So that's a real thing, right? So as we were re-recording these things, sometimes, we should have done that. But then it's like, doesn't sound right because it's in your ear now so many, after so many years that the changes don't necessarily sound right. So it's pretty close to the original, it's pretty close. Little things changed, like hey, the drums were a little bit loud here. Let's come down. Or this lead wasn't that loud that it should have been, right? And just minimal things. So there's not major changes. Maybe the changes like having Maria on the song.
Right.
That's cool. If we would have time, I mean, it would have been cool to put a feature on every one of the songs. That would have been cool.
That would be so cool. I mean, you've got a lot of friends. You've got enough friends to do it. I was just going to ask you, how do you make real friends in this business? I'm sure you've racked up a few over the years. How do you make real friends in this business? And do real friends make good collaborators in the studio?
How do I make real friends? Well, that's definitely a vibe thing, It's 100% a vibe thing, because what is a real friend? You know what I mean? Like a real friend is somebody that you went to battle with, right? And when you go on tour, sometimes, especially if a tour is difficult, right? If there are circumstances that not exactly are the best, right? Then you probably kind of end up with those friends. That's the bands on the bill, right? That you had to go through some stories together. But I guess it's a vibe thing, It's really that who's gonna be your friends. I'm not a typical person that talks about typical things. Oh, well, I mean, nobody is, but you know what I mean? Like I have very weird interests. So I have different kind of friends. I have a lot of scientist friends and whatnot. I'm into quantum mechanics and crazy stuff that's kind of maybe geeky. I don't throw, TVs out of the hotel room. That's not my that's not my thing. You know what I mean? I'm aligned a little bit differently. So I have a very weird set of friends. Like these are astronauts, doctors, and scientists, and martial artists, obviously, a lot of them.
Dude, you're in so many directions. I mean, I was just like, this guy, you're kind of a meathead, right? I see you at the gym. I see you checking in at your gym.
Yeah.
You're well revered. You're a friend to many, but feared in the jujitsu ring. Is it a ring? I don't even know if it's called a ring, but dude, you've racked up a lot of medals over the years.
Right.
So you're
Yeah, look,
until you don't,
I started when I was a kid, so I have a little bit of an advantage when it comes to like the stand-up game of martial arts, especially jiu-jitsu, because I started judo when I was 9 years old, so that's like a lifelong thing. And then so when I switched to jiu-jitsu, which was about 17, 18, somewhere years ago, the two martial arts combined is pretty good, I would say. So when I go to competitions, people know. Like, oh, this guy, this is a judo guy, he's gonna throw me. So, so they have to counter that. So there's definitely that. But I have a lot of friends in martial arts because, when you train, you have to have a pretty high level of trust of your training partner. We can really hurt each other if we wanted to. So, so basically the idea is that we have an agreed upon speed and agreed upon power. Like, okay, we're going to go half speed, half power. You can't jump, you can't,
right.
When you spar with somebody, you kind of tapping each other, then you can't like, oh, now I'm going to just, I'm going to just, that's not okay. See what I mean? So when you have to trust another person, like completely trust them with your physical, safety, you know who's your friend. You develop those really close friendships.
Does it cross over into the rock world? Like, so you have a grind of a tour. I imagine most tours are of a grind of a tour. Is your tenacity and your background in jujitsu, how does that transfer over to the rock world for you?
So, when we're on tour, I travel with my jiu-jitsu mats, and I generally have like 5, 6 black belts with me. So security guys are all jiu-jitsu black belts. My tour manager is a jiu-jitsu black belt. The rigger, the guys that put up the lights, they're jiu-jitsu black belts. So both of my videographers are jiu-jitsu black belts. So these are guys who put in way over a decade's work into martial arts. So two things: one, I can train with them. Obviously, as we go on the tour every day, we train. And second, they live by a code, so you kind of know what to expect from them. Martial arts changes how you think. So you know what I mean. So you kind of become a different person. And in fact, I even contribute my success in these various areas, I think, because I was a martial artist. You just see the world completely different. Like, just a quick example. Most people look at something that, oh, I have an obstacle in my way. To me, that's not an obstacle. That word doesn't exist. This is a challenge. Because you develop that thing like, man, the bigger the guy is, can I beat that guy? He's huge. He's twice my size. You know what I mean? Instead of thinking like, oh my God, it's something flips in your head. So everything that's difficult, to me, that's interesting. Like, ooh, that's hard to achieve. Let's go for that, right? So I think that really helped me in everything I do, that I go for it.
I really admire you for that. I wish I cared something about that so much that I could just like have that discipline to attack it that way, man. I'm hardly a radio DJ. I'm just doing my job here, having fun while I'm here. But I don't know. I admire you for that. That's very cool, and I'm glad that you still have the discipline to do that on tour, because things can spiral out of control, right? Like with sobriety and different facets of tour life and the company you keep on the road. I imagine.
Oh yeah. I mean, like, look, here's the thing. This band was pretty much out of control for the first, I don't know, 15 years of its existence. Out of control to the point where, they call me dad. Like, hey, hide the stuff, dad is coming. That was the real thing. So So somebody had to be, holding the steering wheel. And, I have a different discipline, obviously. I'm a martial artist. I don't drink. I don't really party. So I have a different interest. Now, if you ask me like, hey, here's a pen. Do you want to drive it through some cars? Hell yeah. Which I have done several times. Or here's a fighter jet. You want to fly? Yeah, which also I've done. You know what I mean? So I go for crazy stuff. But that doesn't mean that this band is not a real rock and roll, outfit, so to speak, because as I said, for 15 years, I had to hide it from the world that these guys were out of control to the point where it was like, man, I don't know that this is how long this can survive. It was completely out of control.
I'm so happy because I was on the radio, when things were spiraling there for a bit. And I remember like, well, okay, there's two options. This could be either a complete clusterfuck and implode for this band, or and this is a very small chance that they can make it. And they can continue trucking, here you are marking 20 together. Yeah.
There was plenty of those clusterfuck moments. There was a time we were banned from 4 different airlines.
Yeah.
Well, I'm serious. Like some of the airlines we still can't fly. So like they banned for life. And there were a time when 4 different airlines we were banned from in the same time. So if we wanted to go somewhere, we kind of had to route the tour. Like, okay, we can't fly. Lufthansa, we can't fly. British Airways definitely can't fly Qantas. So it was pretty crazy, and the world didn't really know. The promoters all understood. Like, look, whatever happens, don't worry. We will show up. There will be a show one way or another. So, and we always did. So
Man, you did do it. How do you is the rest of the band in Vegas too? Are you all Vegas residents or no?
So we started in LA. Not a lot of people don't know this, but we started in LA and we lived in LA for quite some time. And we moved to Vegas. So, but Chris Cale, bass guitarist, he lived in Vegas for a longer period of time. And eventually kind of everybody came here. So we were all here. Charlie, our drummer, right now he's in Montana. He's a mountain man. He likes fishing, hunting, all that stuff, right? So he can't do the big city thing. He has to be ice fishing or whatever the hell.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Even Nikki Sixx are besties out in Montana doing that thing.
Right.
So you do have a little R&R before, or are you getting back together now? Everybody's congregating because you have a handful of shows. You're at Rockfest. That's the closest stop to Minneapolis. You're in Kadai. And I think you're in Incarceration as well.
Right.
What has to happen before you guys hit the road again?
So, we dust off the guitars. Well, basically what happens generally, like the procedure is that we sort of get together, usually in my house, and we sort of just go through the songs, figure out like, hey, do we want to add something new, or what's the set list? We kind of, we have to look at also the various festivals or whatever show we play. We have a time slot. Like, okay, you can play 75 minutes. Then I have to figure out what set list fits in there, right? If there is anything new, like a new song coming out, then, we figure out if we add it to the set. Once we have this, then we have a big rehearsal place that's more of a, arena style. So we can set up the lights and we can set up everything in-ear monitors. And then we go to the set for 3-4 days. And it's more for the techs. So for the monitor guys to dial in everything, and then we hit it. Yeah.
You've got a lot of practice. This is your bread and butter, baby. It's time to go to work again. On the road, in the recording studio, in the ring, in your castle. 20 years of Five Finger Death Punch. The re-record, Best of Volume 1, due out July 18th. You can pre-order it now. And what else do I want to say? I'm excited.
Pre-order it now. What she said. Pre-order it now.
Yeah, man.
I can't be the salesman, So,
yeah, well,
but what she said.
We're enjoying playing I Refuse with Maria Brink. That's been spinning on 93X. And we hope to see you soon. And all the best. 20 years more, okay?
All right.
All right,
Thank you so much. Good to see you.
I really appreciate it, dude.